No mate, no one can get hold of one anywhere. Pre-orders completely gone, sold out across the whole of the country, every single retailer. We're talking Game, Currys, Argos, Amazon, you name it, nada. Some people have even had them delivered and there'd be nothing in the box. Absolute joke. What I would give to just be able to snap my fingers and it'd be at the front door. Hi guys, it's ASPYT and this is the brand new, just released PlayStation 5. The PS5 is Sony's big jump into the world of next generation gaming, some 7 years after the PS4's inception, to battle it out with the likes of the Xbox Series X from Microsoft, which I have already reviewed. I've been using it for a short while now and I've got some things to share. Mostly great, of course, but there are a couple of potential concerns which we'll touch on. And thanks to Netgear for sponsoring today's video. So the PS5 will set you back a cool £359 UK if you buy the digital only version, or the exact same £449 of the Xbox Series X if you buy the disc drive version, $399 and $499 I believe in US dollars. I of course have the disc version here, so it can be also used as a Blu-ray player for example, and for playing old PlayStation games because it is backwards compatible for a wide variety of old titles. Now the PS5 has been designed very differently to the Xbox Series X. We do have a similar list of ports, including 2 USB Type-A's, an Ethernet, HDMI and power port on the rear, as well as another Type-A for charging your controller, more on controllers later, a Type-C port and a power button and an eject button for the disk drive also. But the overall casing, or the shell if you will, is the complete polar opposite. Matte black, subtle, plain box-like shape of the Xbox to the unique, cosmic and certainly out there look of the PlayStation 5. Matte white sides and a glossy black interior section. At the end of the day, it's personal choice. While I personally don't think the PS5 fits in with my minimalistic kind of setup, I think this is a design choice from Sony that was intended. I don't think it was ever their intention for the PS5 to necessarily blend in. It's meant to be instantly recognisable and to be, yes, I'm a PS5, I'm a beast, and what? Now this size and shape has actually led to some genuine logistical concerns, with some people struggling to find a home for it, but there have also been some slightly more troubling reports about what's been going on inside the shell, which we'll get to, but first, in order to do that, we have to know what's actually cooking under the hood. So we have an 8-core AMD Zen 2 CPU with a clock speed of 3.5 GHz and a new custom RDNA 2 GPU with 10.3 teraflops of power. Now yes, even though technically this is less than the 12 teraflops that we see on the brand new Xbox Series X, you won't in everyday gaming use really notice too much of a difference in terms of raw power, and as an example the PS5 can easily run 4K resolution at 60 frames a second and in some cases be able to achieve 120 frames per second. So sports and fast-paced action titles will be much smoother and more immersive than ever before, providing the games are of course developed in said high frame rates and you have a compatible TV or monitor. We've got 16GB of GDDR6 RAM and 825GB of SSD storage, with up to 5.5GB read speeds. So load times are incredibly fast and navigating around the UI is a fluid dream. On paper, yes, it's not as powerful as one of the latest high-end gaming PCs, but it will still absolutely crush all of the latest console games, and it will be future-proof for a fair few years. Sony, unlike Microsoft, have updated the interface for their new gen consoles, and to be honest, I really like it. It has almost a bit of an Android TV kind of vibe, which I think works really well. It's easy to navigate with plenty of customization without being cluttered or confusing. The inbuilt stated 825GB of internal storage is a little bit concerning, considering only around 3/4 of that is actually usable in terms of downloading games, for example, due to the operating system that gobbles up 1/4 of it. Some of the current cross-generation games can be anywhere from 30 to 40GB, right up to 100GB in some cases, and I'm sure a lot of the new-gen only games will be north of there, so we could get to a point where this could fill up very, very quickly if you like to download a fair few games. Yes, there is a storage expansion feature on the PS5, but as far as I'm aware, it's not actually available at launch and maybe a little faffy for the non-tech minded, which is a bit of a shame. Internal storage seems to be something that all of the new gen consoles seem to have compromised on in order to keep the costs down, and we could start to see an issue as the gaming titles start coming through. Very quickly, if you're enjoying this video so far, a sub would be awesome. Another potential issue arises with the brand new controller, but it also provides a lot of great things, a lot of great design features, and that's where we're going to start. For those that wanted a revamp on the design, you will be pleased, as the PlayStation 5 controller has received quite a facelift, both in looks and features. Dare I say it? It looks slightly more like an Xbox controller than an old PlayStation 4 controller. I like both consoles, don't get triggered. The PS5 controller feels, in my opinion, much more comfortable in the hand than the old PS4 ones. The transitions between the core and the grips have a really nice smooth slope from the harsher design of the PS4 ones, and there is an ever so slight bumpy texture to them. So for all of that smoothing, they won't be slipping out of your hand unless you do decide to part with your controller after being denied a world record kill streak or conceding a last minute winner. Please note, I don't recommend doing this, especially if you are aiming it towards a very expensive brand new 4K TV. Those things aren't cheap. I've seen too many videos that I can't unsee. We've got a Type-C port on the top, pins for the charging dock on the bottom, and there is also a new lighting system as well. But these aren't the features that have got everyone's chins wagging. First off, the adapted triggers have differing ranges of tension through the motion, so there's a real bite to the full flex. You can see game developers using this to allow differing ranges of movement and actions based on how hard you actually press. The downside of this is, of course, it will be more work for gaming developers because they will only be able to include those gaming features on the PlayStation 5. They won't be able to include it for cross-platform or cross-generation games, but certainly if they can actually use that technology, then the games will feel much more immersive, as will they if they take advantage of the new tactile feedback feature as well. The PS5 controllers, remarkably, are capable of giving off a different feeling and vibration based on what the character in the game is doing. So when you as a character are performing certain actions like walking, running, climbing, etc. on different surfaces, the controller vibrates in a way that I've never experienced before. That sounds a bit weird. What I mean is, the motion, sound and output has a different feeling depending on what you're actually interacting with. Obviously a hard one to portray in a video, but definitely if you get the chance to go and test it out, it really makes you feel like you're in the scene more than ever before. Obviously, again, like with the trigger technology, you are relying on the gaming developer to produce this in the game for it to happen, but it's exciting. One downside to these technologies, however, is they will definitely hit the battery life hard, and that has been something that I have noticed in early testing. Game depending, you can get anywhere from 10 to 15 hours of use from a single charge, but it can also be as low as around 6 or 7 if the features are being heavily used, which is not ideal. The pros and cons to using either removable AA batteries in a Xbox controller or the inbuilt rechargeable batteries in the PlayStation 5 controller is a debate that will rumble on forever and ever. Let me know in the comments what you think. And another thing that seems to be rumbling on quite a little bit is the issue of PS5 overheating in a Best Buy store. Now, I use the word issue in quotation marks because right now there is no way of knowing really for me personally whether this is actually a true case or not. But there is one thing to consider is if the pictures are true, it doesn't look like the PS5 is in the optimum location and position to efficiently work and have the ventilation to keep it nice and cool. Now, don't get me wrong, the PS5 isn't perfect in the thermals department, nor is any console really, but as long as you place your console in an optimum location and follow Sony's guidelines on best practices like using the stand for best airflow, you really shouldn't have a problem. Let me know in the comments how your PS5 is doing in this department. So the most important thing that you probably want to know is the PS5 worth the upgrade and what are the actual games like to play? Well, of course, firstly, there are certain PS5 only launch titles like the new Spiderman Miles Morales, but like the Xbox, there isn't a huge list of next-gen only games, so the real difference in performance will be reflective of the actual game that you're playing. If you're playing one of the cross-generation games, graphically it will look slightly enhanced, but it's not going to be night and day from the PS4. But if you do make that step up to a PS5 only title, then it does start to feel like, yes, this is what we've been waiting nearly a decade for. One big new feature and semi-PC standard, and I'll explain semi in a second. Again, that sounds a bit weird. New feature, ray tracing. So to cut a long story short, ray tracing in the simplest terms is about lighting in the game. Light sources attract and reflections in windows, mirrors, puddles, etc. are really accurately portrayed as if completely real, like it legitimately looks awesome. The graphical difference in certain games is actually quite vast, but on the PS5, ray tracing on certain games can be toggled on and off, and it can sometimes actually be a negative thing to choose because it can drop the frame rate of that game. Because again, the console compared to PC gaming, sometimes not quite as capable, and certain games won't allow you to do both that you could again on a high-end gaming PC. So often in games you can choose between having a high frame rate, so a much smoother gameplay experience. For action it's much better, or you can go with a slightly graphically better look, but obviously the game is slightly more jarring to play. So that's the kind of toss-up you have to choose between on certain games. And that's where the semi comes in. If you want full, then go with the gaming PC. Oh dear. I've probably lost you already, haven't I? So is gaming on the PS5 much better than the PS4? Yes, absolutely, 100%, or yeah, depending on what settings, what games that you're playing. Would I have liked to have seen more launch exclusives from Sony for the PlayStation 5? Yes, of course. In an ideal world, it would have been lovely to have tons and tons of different next-gen, fully only games. But we know they're coming. Would it stop me buying it now, knowing that they're around the corner and the fact that you'll be future-proofing yourself for many years? No. Equally, if things are a little bit tight for you right now on the old purse strings, with the current climate especially, a lot of people will be under that predicament, then don't worry about potentially waiting, because the big bulk of games that will probably be coming through for next-gen only consoles will be in the new year, and you may even get some deals after the holiday season anyway, so don't panic, and especially if you didn't manage to get a pre-order, because they were sold out everywhere as far as I'm aware. Also, now that the PlayStation 5 is equipped with the very latest in Wi-Fi 6 technology, this is great news if you have a compatible Wi-Fi 6 router or mesh system, such as the Orbi Wi-Fi 6 RBK752 from today's video sponsor, Netgear. It's a bit of a mouthful of a name, but it's a pretty great product. The Orbi Wi-Fi 6 RBK752 is the most recent addition to the premium Orbi lineup. It offers much faster wireless speeds, which is great for downloading entire games onto your new console, as well as patches and updates. These could take a very long time if your Wi-Fi isn't up to scratch. It is ideal for those of you with a high-speed internet connection and means you can expect smooth online gaming sessions on your new console, 4K video streaming, and it won't slow down even if you have a large number of devices on your network. Orbi Wi-Fi 6 provides whole home mesh Wi-Fi coverage of up to 4,000 square feet and over 40 devices. It offers optimum performance, works with all major network providers, and also with an ever-increasing number of products that use this new Wi-Fi 6 standard in today's world. It offers you the peace of mind that you will be covered for the foreseeable future with the very latest tech. If this sounds like a match made in heaven, then follow the link in the video description below. You can go through and check it out, find out more information, and indeed go and get one if you so wish. I think the quality and how well it performs justifies the price. Like and share if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you love everything tech, breaking tech news, unboxings, reviews. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.
Do just what you want.